The time is 6 o'clock. Welcome to Citizen FM News at 6. I am Didi Eno. First, the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari approves use of 200 naira notes, old currency. U.S. government returns $954,000 looted by former Bayelsa State Governor. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to release old 200 naira notes into circulation to coexist with new 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira banknotes for 60 days. He, however, said old 500 naira and 1,000 naira banknotes are no longer legal tender in Nigeria.
To further ease the supply pressures, particularly to our citizens, I have given approval to the CBN that the old 200 naira banknotes be released back into circulation, and that it should also be allowed to circulate as legal tender with the new 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira banknotes for 60 days from February 10th, 2023 to April 10th, 2023, when the old 200 naira notes ceases to be legal tender. In line with Section 20, subsection 3 of the CBN Act 2007, all existing old 1,000 naira and 500 naira notes remain redeemable as CBN and designated points.
The president, who made this known in a nationwide broadcast on Thursday, directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to allow the new notes available to all citizens. The president apologized to Nigerians over the difficulty experienced in the implementation of the Naira redesign policy. And the president also lamented that the currency in circulation grew from 1.4 trillion naira in 2015, when he assumed office, to 3.23 trillion naira at the end of 2022. He, however, said 2.1 trillion naira of the cash in circulation have been retrieved since the launch of the Naira redesign policy of the federal government on October 26, 2022.
I have similarly directed the CBN should intensify collaboration with anti-corruption agencies so as to ensure that any institution or persons found to have impeded or sabotaged the implementation should be made to bear the full weight of the law.
Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has appealed to Nigerians to allow the Naira redesign policy of the government to work. Speaking with newsmen on Thursday after meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari and House ad hoc committee on Naira redesign and swap policy at the State House in Abuja, the CBN governor said allowing the currency swap to work will go a long way to help the nation's economy. Emefiele also stated that he has met with 15 bank executives and he has directed them to make the 200 naira notes available immediately.
And I think I can only just appeal to Nigerians, let's allow this policy to work. This policy is one policy that goes to solve the problem of reducing corruption and illicit financial flows. This policy goes to resolve some of the problems in the economy. This policy also goes to reducing the level of insecurity in the country. So these three issues, which are the tripod of this administration's policy, are all embedded in this policy. We should just allow it to work. We keep saying this. There are some temporary pains, but I can assure Nigerians that the long-run benefit to Nigeria is overwhelming, and we should just give it a chance.
Also speaking, Chairman of the House Special Ad Hoc Committee on Cashless Policy, Naira Redesign and Currency Swap, and Leader of the House, Ado Dogoa, emphasized that going into election without hard cash will put members of the National Assembly at a disadvantage, irrespective of the political party that they belong in. He affirmed that each member of the House of Representatives is entitled to 70 million naira cash to pay polling agents and for other election running costs, saying if they have no hard cash, they will be disadvantaged in the election exercise.
Vote buying question, like you said, I want to tell you without any equivocality that I, the Adodogwa you know, who has won the election 7 times, and that I belong to the ruling APC proudly. No one of us in the APC, and I believe even in other parties, is out to buy votes. But you must also take into cognizance that there is a clear-cut provision in the Electoral Act which provides for the amount of money needed for every political office holder to take during campaign to use. A member of the House of Representatives is expected by law to have not more than 70 million naira to conduct his elections and whatever, logistics and other things. 70 million naira cash by law. Yes. A presidential candidate, for instance, needs to have how much? About 5 billion or 1 billion. 1 billion for presidential candidates. At least the law has provided for us the amount of money we need to oversee our election process.
Citizen FM Somole Timothy reports that the House of Representatives is currently on break for the 2023 general elections, but the ad hoc committee is mandated to continue to interface with the CBN, Ministry of Finance, and other agencies concerned with the new monetary regime to cushion the effect on Nigerians. The Association of Senior Staff of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institutions has revealed that banks have lost the sum of 5 billion naira across the nation following recent attacks and destructions of bank facilities. The president of ASBIFI, Olusoji, disclosed this on Thursday at a news conference in Lagos. He said aside from bank buildings burned and automated teller machines at his ATM destroyed, bank officials were also affected. Olusoji said 17 bank branches have been attacked so far. The People's Democratic Party presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar on Thursday took a swipe at the ruling All Progressives Congress over the Naira redesign policy, asking the party to take responsibility for its failure and hardship that it has brought upon the masses. He said the policy failings have led to the upheavals in different parts of the country in which lives were lost and properties destroyed. The growing anger over the cash crisis resulting from CBN currency redesign policy boiled over on Wednesday as protesting customers torched banks and destroyed ATMs in Edo and Delta states. The violence, which paralyzed social and economic activities in the two states, also claimed 3 lives, while many others were injured during the riot. And to election matters, the IGP, that is the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, says the Nigeria Police Force will deploy over 310,973 personnel to ensure a peaceful and secure atmosphere across the country pre, during, and post-2023 elections. The Inspector General of Police made this known during the 66th session of the State House briefing on Thursday, while highlighting the plans and processes being put in place by the force. According to the police chief, the personnel will be drawn from conventional policemen and women, mobile police, special forces, intelligence response team, and the counter-terrorism unit, amongst others.
From INET records, there exist 176,846 polling units in 8,809 wards of the 36 states of the Federation and FCT, where the elections will be conducted. The Nigeria Police, with support of other security agencies, have perfected plans to deploy in a coordinated and collaborative manner to cover all these locations. The deployment will cover the National Collation Center in Abuja, as well as other collation centers across the states of the Federation, the FCT, and the 774 local government areas of the Federation. In view of the above, the Nigeria Police will deploy 310,973 personnel for the election security operations. Much as the Nigeria Police has perfected.
The IGP also highlighted challenges that may affect the elections to include fuel scarcity, availability of funds, and subsequent attacks on critical infrastructure, as well as INEC officials across the country.
Gender a peaceful electoral process, the following have been identified as possible challenges. 1. Continuous and targeted attacks on INEC facilities by subversive anti-democratic elements. 2. Activities of terrorists, bandits, and secessionists and self-actualization elements. 3. Patronage and deployment of subnational quasi-security outfits by state actors to advance political interests in violation of the Electoral Act. 4. Political thuggery, inter-party crisis and inter-party crisis and intra-party violence. 5. Hate speeches, political intolerance, and extremism, as well as anti-democratic conduct of some state governors and other strategic political actors which could inflame the political space.
Correspondent Omole Timothy reported that the Inspector General of Police also issued a strong warning to anyone who plans to disrupt the country's general elections in 2023. The United States government has returned $994,000 stolen by the former governor of Bayelsa State, Dipre Alamese, to the state government through the federal government. U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, announced the development at a press briefing on Thursday afternoon in Abuja. She said the official salary of the former governor during his tenure as a public servant from 1999 to his impeachment in 2005 did not match the said fund.
The conclusion of a legal process launched over 15 years ago following the tenure of Governor Solomon Almacia, also known as DSP. During his tenure as a public servant from 1999 until his impeachment in 2005, DSP's official salary did not exceed the equivalent of about $81,000. However, during that time, he accumulated millions of dollars worth of property through corrupt acts such as the use of office.
Away from that, coalition of united political parties has called on President Muhammadu Buhari and the Inspector General of Police to caution the Commissioner of Police in Imo State and to call him to order. COP's co-national spokesman Mark Adebayo made the call at a press conference in Abuja on Thursday. Adebayo noted that the current Imo State Commissioner of Police cannot deliver a free, fair and credible election as promised by Mr. President. According to him, the opposition is calling on the Inspector General of Police to immediately redeploy the Commissioner of Police, Imo State, and to investigate him for allegations bordering on security breach. You are listening to Citizen FM 93.7 News at 6. The Economic Commission for Africa has urged African nations to accelerate implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area to make it more resilient and globally competitive. Acting Executive Secretary of the ECA, Antonio Pedro, said this in a statement issued by the communication sector of the ECA on Thursday. Pedro spoke at the 42nd Ordinary Session of the African Union Executive Council meeting in Addis Ababa on Wednesday. He said Africa could build sufficient shock absorbers to build resilience only through an accelerated and effective implementation of the FCTFTA. Into South Africa, the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, has announced the resignation of his deputy, David Mabuza, thanking him for his unwavering support over the last 5 years. Local reports say it comes as no surprise because Mr. Mabuza had already announced earlier this month that he would be stepping down. He will stay in the post until Mr. Ramaphosa announces his successor, widely expected to be new ANC Deputy President Paul Mashatile. Pope Francis has dismissed speculations that he plans to follow the example of his predecessor, Benedict, by retiring. The Pope, who is 86 and often uses a wheelchair, said he believed that the job was for life. He added that historical tradition was important and stepping down was not on his agenda. The remarks were made during a meeting earlier this month in the Democratic Republic of Congo, but have only been made public recently. And now to news in the world of sports. The Football Association has launched an investigation after Manchester City's Kevin De Bruyne had objects thrown at him during their 3-1 win at Arsenal on Wednesday evening. The midfielder was targeted while he was walking around the pitch after being substituted later on. Referee Anthony Taylor is believed to have mentioned it in his match report. And Arsenal are studying CCTV footage and say they will impose strict sanctions if those responsible can be identified. Tottenham boss Antonio Conte will miss Sunday's Premier League game against West Ham and not return to work until he has made an entire recovery from surgery to remove his gallbladder. The 53-year-old had the operation in Italy just 2 weeks ago. But Conte was back last week before the 4-1 defeat at Leicester and in the dugout for Tuesday's Champions League loss to AC Milan. And that's the news tonight, but before we go, a recap of the highlights. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the use of old 200 naira notes. And U.S. government has returned $954,000 looted by former Bayelsa State Governor back to Nigeria. And that's the news at 6, as edited by Lawrence Somoeta. To listen to us online, please visit citizenfm.ng. I am Didi Eno. To stay with us, Super Citizen at Sunset continues in a bit.
Looking for the best in news updates? Yeah, man. Listen to Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. Now listen. News on the hour. 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and 11 a.m. 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and 5 p.m. News at noon, 12 noon. News from across the states, 4 p.m. And our major news at 6 p.m. Citizen FM 93.7. Always precise in news broadcast.
Citizen FM Abuja.